Day on Judge Hatchett. It's a freeway free-for-all.
You're saying that this was road rage.
They cut me off, turned their van completely sideways so no one could go.
They say their cheerleading road trip turned into a highway to hell.
He jumped out of his car, grabbed me by my arm, and threw me up against my car and started yelling at me.
He bashed in the back window with the wrench.
But the defendants say they were the victims in this roadside ruckus.
She slams on her brakes, Your Honor, and then turned around and started giving us the finger.
That's not true.
Now, will an eyewitness to the argument slam the brakes on these cheerleaders' chances?
What did you observe?
Your Honor, I have 5 children, and I swear on their lives he never one time laid a hand on her.
I did it to save your life.
Who threw the first blow?
He did.
There was gonna be hell to pay. Whatever. You want me to come off this bench?
I suggest that you get clear about the truth right now.
Don't get me testifying in here today.
Penelope Brown is suing Paula Dunton for $3,000 for committing a heinous act of road rage against her daughter Amber. Penelope says Amber was innocently driving home from cheerleading practice when out of nowhere Paula's van forced her car off the road, and Paula's husband Rick jumped out and smashed Amber's windshield with a monkey wrench. Penelope says Rick then grabbed her terrified daughter and threw her against the car. They're here with Amber's friend Rachel, who witnessed the incident. Paula denies her husband did anything to Amber or her car and claims Amber and her pals were the ones road raging. Paula says she was 8 months pregnant and on her way to the hospital when Amber suddenly pulled in front of her and slammed on her brakes. Paula says Amber's a liar, and any damage to her car was the result of her own carelessness. She and Rick are here with Michael Ziegler, who was a passenger in their car.
Ms. Brown, you're in court today with your daughter Amber and her friend Rachel. And you have filed a complaint against the Duttons.
Yes.
And you're saying basically that they're responsible for damage to the family car that your daughter was driving at a time of an incident that we're going to get into some detail about today. But in a nutshell, you're saying that this was road rage.
Yes.
All right, begin telling me what happened. You actually were driving, Amber, so perhaps we should start with you. You were driving, and I understand from the complaint that you were in the car with some of your friends.
Yeah, we were leaving cheerleading practice on our way to go to gymnastics, and we were on the main highway.
And how many people were in the car with you?
4.
So
Well,
Rachel
3.
was one of the people in the car with you?
Yeah.
And two other girls?
Yes.
All right, what happened?
We were driving down a highway in Missouri, and the lady in front of, well, the car in front of me put on their brakes, I put on mine, and then there was a van behind me that put on theirs. My Cavalier that I had was only a 4-cylinder, so it doesn't get up and go real quick, and so I turned my blinker on to get over, and because we were in the left-hand lane, and I turned my blinker on to get in the right-hand lane so people could go ahead and go. And as I turned my blinker on and I glanced over to see if I could get over, I saw that the Duntons, well, the van was going up to get around me. And so I just turned my blinker back off and I stayed in the left-hand lane. There was...
Well, hold it right there so that we can kind of make sure that I'm following both sides of this. So, car in front of you stops.
Yes.
You had to put on brakes suddenly.
Yes.
And the car that the defendants were in, the van that they were in behind you, had to stop suddenly.
Yes.
What happened, just up to that point from your perspective, what happened?
There was no other car around. It was just me and her.
No other car anywhere?
No.
Is this a two-lane highway in both directions?
And I had gotten on the highway, and she was behind me.
She was behind you?
She comes around me, it goes through the fast lane, and then goes into my lane.
So she passes you from the left?
Brakes. She slams on her brakes. So I put my blinker on to get over in the fast lane.
She slams on her brakes, Your Honor, and then the rest of her family turned around, the kids in the car turned around and started giving us the finger and all this kind of stuff, laughing and all this kind of jazz.
That's not true.
Needless to say, I never got around her. We went 9 miles down the highway this way.
Who's driving? Are you driving?
I was driving.
You were driving. You're in the car. Are you in the car?
Yes, he's sitting right between us.
Okay, so you're in the car, 3 adults in the car.
Right.
And how many children?
3, plus I was 9 months pregnant.
So 3 children, 3 adults, just so
Right.
I can figure this out.
Right.
All right, so you're saying that there was a car in front of you that stopped suddenly.
Yes.
You slammed on brakes, and the Duttons' vehicle was behind you. They were driving a van.
Yes.
And you then put on your blinker, according to your testimony,
Yes.
to move from the left-hand lane over to the right-hand lane. And what happened at that point?
Well, I glanced over to see if I could get over, and then I saw that they were already, their van was like splitting the line like halfway, like they were getting over. And so I just turned my blinker off and I stayed in that lane because then I would have cut them off if I would have got over into the right-hand lane.
And then what happened? Did they pass you?
They passed and got in front of me.
They passed you in the right-hand lane and got in front of you, and what happened
Yes,
then?
and then I turned on my blinker to get off on the exit ramp, and they cut me off, turned their van completely sideways so no one could go.
You were
Okay, wait a minute, now, let me follow it.
Now, how could I
Just
cut
a
you
second.
off?
Just a second. As you're getting off the exit, is your testimony that they then cut in front of you
Yes, ma'am.
and literally blocked the
Yes.
exit?
Yes, completely sideways.
They turned to the left, and two men jumped out
Yeah, our
and
car's
began
about
beating on
20
the
feet
window.
long, isn't it?
They're saying that they got off the exit. Did you get off at the same exit?
Yes,
I got
we
off
did.
the same exit, but I was still behind her.
When Judge Hatchett returns,
When he stopped, she forgot to mention this, but he came out and he had a wrench in his
Yes.
hand, and he bashed in the back window with the wrench.
and later, remember Erica, the troubled teen who was terrorizing her family?
We were in a push and shove. She had me against my kitchen counter.
It just got really ugly.
Find out the latest on a special Judge Hatchett update.
Hey, what's going on? Oh, I get it. For a second, I thought you were twice as long.
Cottonelle double roll toilet paper really is twice as long.
Not much outlasts these two.
To last much longer.
Does asthma sometimes stop you? Well, it doesn't always have to. See your doctor and ask about preventative medications that can help you.
Go.
No matter where life takes you.
I'll put another one in.
It's getting late.
I order you to refill the Glade plug-ins at once.
Don't forget to refill your Glade plug-ins, because the new refill's fresh and even better.
Plug it in, plug it in.
It's hard for people with diabetes to lose weight. My advice, exercise and try Glucerna weight loss shakes made for people with diabetes. Clinically shown to help manage blood glucose while helping you lose weight. Delicious Glucerna weight loss shakes.
It's a big night of premieres on the WB Friday. First, Amanda's back from Paris.
Is he my present? I specifically asked for a mini Eiffel Tower.
What I Like About You. Plus, the season premiere of Grounded with Mila Kunis. Then, the premiere that drops a bombshell.
I guess I'm just a little upset about, Barbara Jean finding Mom and Dad in bed together.
Well, did they or didn't they? The season premiere of Reba, plus Blue Collar TV.
Tonight, starting at 7 on the WB Kansas City.
Is this how you were treated the last time you applied for a car loan? At Approved Auto, we don't monkey around.
Dave, this is a deal.
At Approved Auto Group, we get people financed every day that other dealers can't because we've got lenders other dealers don't, with payments to fit anybody's budget. So pick up the phone right now and call in Grandview 816-763-2323. At Approved Auto, we're working folks buy for less.
You can take a shot, take a turn, take a spin, take a look at him. But don't hang around. Your brain gets dizzy, your body goes numb. So if you take drugs, well, that's just dumb. You wanna be strong, you wanna live long. Don't take drugs.
Don't take them.
One hope, one dream, one child at a time, making a difference in the lives of children. DQ is committed to keeping Kansas City drug-free. Visit your area DQ and try the new Moo Latte.
Penelope Brown says Paula Dunton and her husband Rick ran her daughter Amber off the road for no reason, then smashed Amber's windshield with a monkey wrench.
So now we're at the exit. You're saying that they cut you off and that they turned the van sideways.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened at that point?
We swerved well, two men jumped out of the car.
Two men jumped out of the car?
Yes.
Are those two men in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And is it one? Obviously, there are only two men over here. So you're saying that Mr. Dutton and Mrs. Ziegler were the two men that jumped out of the van?
Yes.
And when they jumped out of the van, what happened?
I know they pounded with at least, I don't know if they had anything else, but they were hitting the back end of my back windows of my car with some,
Yeah, we
with
were
fists
chasing
or
her as she
something.
was driving like that.
They only hit it a few times because we were trying to get into the grass because we didn't want to hit the van that was
we
right
were-
there in front of us.
we
She
were
panicked
terrified.
and turned into the grass
to get away.
You were terrified.
You didn't want to hit the van. You wanted us
Wow.
to hit you.
So wait a minute. Now, I'm just trying to understand. They jump out. Do they say anything to you? What did they say?
Yelling and
Did she
trying
care
to be on
about
the car,
that?
but
No.
weren't hitting
I know. No,
Not
she
while your
didn't care
husband was
about it.
assaulting
Okay,
her.
so your perspective is that you got off of this exit behind them.
Way behind.
Way behind.
Way behind them. And what happened when you got off the exit?
I was going down the way that north where I was headed, and I had to stop at 2 stoplights. Once I got past the stoplights, I noticed 2 cars over
There's
to
only one
the
stoplight
side.
before the accident.
There's a stoplight when you get off the highway.
Don't argue with her. Don't argue, please.
Anyway, I seen 2 automobiles off to the side of the road. Noticed one of them was hers, so I pulled over and proceeded to ask her what she thought she was doing.
What caused her to stop?
She's got an arrest.
I had pulled over. There's 2 cars, and she said, "I just hit a lady." She was already out of her car.
So there was an accident
Right,
involving
she was already
Amber
out of
and
her
another car.
Right.
So how did you get in the accident with the other car?
I was in the right-hand lane, and I saw them that they were in the right-hand lane. There were a couple cars back behind me. And so I was going to get over to the left-hand lane just so I could get over there. I turned on my blinker, and I looked behind me to see if I could get over, and the lady in front of me was turning into an Osco drug, and I rear-ended her.
So now you've pulled over to the side.
Yes.
Because you've had the accident that you run into the back of this other car.
Yes, ma'am.
And do the Duttons come and stop and approach you?
Yes, I took my seatbelt off, and I got out of my car, and as I turned around, there was the van there, and he had already opened the door before the van was even at a complete stop. They came up, they pulled in between the lady that I rear-ended and my car, and as I turned around, he jumped out of his car, grabbed me by my arm, and threw me up against my car and started yelling at me. The only thing that I understood out of his mouth was, "My wife is pregnant." That's the only words that I understood out of his mouth.
So he threw you up against the car?
Yes, ma'am.
And then what happened?
And then he let go of me, and I was screaming and crying by this time because he had just threw me up against my car, and I went over to check and see if the lady was okay, and Rachel got out of the car because she saw him throw me up against my car, and she told the 2 girls that she wasn't going to let me be out there by myself with him.
So you get out of the car, and what happened when you get out of the car, Rachel?
Yes, well, when he stopped, she forgot to mention this, but he came out and he had a wrench in his hand, and he bashed in the back window with the wrench. And we didn't realize it was a wrench until later on. We turned and looked in the back, in the back part, and the wrench was laying there. So we ran and told the police officer who had already arrived.
When the police arrived, did you talk about any of this in terms of what had happened between you and the Duttons?
Yes, and I explained to him that he had said that they were going to the hospital, and the police sent out the cop that came sent out a thing to all the hospitals saying that there is
Because by the time the police are there, they've left. And were there charges filed against the Duttons?
Yes, there were.
And what happened to those charges?
Rick was found guilty of property damagement and assault.
Let me turn to your mother, because actually she is the owner of the car.
Yeah.
Ms. Brown, criminal charges were filed against the defendants.
Yes.
Tell me what happened in the situation.
In December, we went to court for the 2nd time after 1 postponement. Mr. Dutton was found guilty of assault and destruction of private property. And I was given a judgment for the window breakage. Mrs. Dutton was found guilty of careless, imprudent driving by pursuing at a high rate of speed, disregarding the rights and safety of others, forcing another vehicle driver, Amber Brown, to take evasive action, changing lanes, resulting in a vehicle accident.
She was found
guilty
guilty
of that. This is what
of
the
that.
ticket says, that she was guilty of.
So you all were charged. Were you arrested?
We were arrested. Your Honor, I'm 40 years old. He's 50. What are we going to get out of road rage?
Nobody's ever been able to answer this question. Why would we get on the freeway and road rage a bunch of teenage girls? Why
Well, the
would we do
question
that?
also is, why would you bother to even stop to talk to him at all?
I was mad.
When Judge Hatchett continues.
Michael Ziegler, you were there. Stand up, please, sir. What did you observe?
Yeah, I observed right now a lot of serious lying, for one thing.
And later, this family was getting into furious fights until Judge Hatchett brought them together. Don't miss what happened next on a special Judge Hatchett update. Closed captioning provided by
Cerebral palsy.
Claim their witness will help prove it.
All right, so, Michael Ziegler, you were there. Stand up, please, sir. What did you observe?
Yeah, I observed right now a lot of serious lying, for one thing. Exactly what Rick and Paula was saying is what happened. We were behind, or actually we were going down the highway. They came down the exit, or on-ramp, I'm sorry, and passed us, hit their brakes, And then as we tried to get around them and stuff like that, they would keep getting over. All the young girls were in the back laughing and flipping us off. And they kept going, and finally we got behind a diesel. They went on their way. We thought it was over. We got off the exit, stopped at that stoplight, turned right and went to another stoplight. And after that stoplight, we went down approximately a quarter mile where we saw her car parked on the shoulder and another vehicle up in the parking lot. And we stopped, and he got out to cuss her out and to see if that lady needed a witness. Your Honor, I have 5 children, and I swear on their lives, he never one time laid a hand on her.
I was in the doctor's. I had to go to the doctor's for my back because the doctors and the insurance company. The doctors and the insurance company ruled out, because I had my seatbelt on, because looking at the 2 damages of the car, that we were only going 25 to 30 miles an hour, that my back injuries would be from throwing up against my car, not from the accident.
Your Honor, she was
never... All right, so Ms. Brown, all right, let's get to the bottom line of this. You've already had the criminal proceedings, so that we're very clear, and I want everybody to understand, you are actually suing in court today on civil charges. So you're saying that the restitution only covered part of the damages, but that there are other damages, and that your daughter was assaulted, and that you are now seeking civil damages. Let me just bottom line this for you in terms of ruling on this case. I'm going to rule on this case. This just seems very strange to me, that they would just purposely be trying to dog you all out. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Your Honor.
I am telling you. I'm ruling now. I am going to enter judgment for the plaintiff for $3,000 because I have found this behavior to be outrageous.
Thank you.
Exactly. Absolutely outrageous.
Criminal.
And Mr. Dutton, frankly, you were out of control then, and you've had a hard time controlling yourself in this courtroom today. I think you were out of control, and I think you threatened her, and I think you threw her up against the car. I really do. And that's why you're going to pay every single penny of this $3,000. Laugh all you want to. You pay the judgment.
Coming up next, a Judge Hatchett update you won't want to miss. Promotional consideration provided by...
It's Jennifer's $5.99 leather sofa event. Classic all leather sofas with exceptional quality and seating comfort. Just $5.99, only from Jennifer.
To help you maintain a healthy